Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I am not Rabbi Boxed. Sorry to disappoint any of you who are disappointed. I am Rabbi Dr. Harvey Taub, and I am here to celebrate Shabbat with my Ocala extended Jewish family. And like any family that gets together, we all have to kfel a little bit about things that are going on. So anybody who would like to share anything wonderful that happened during the week with the rest of the Jewish community, please let us know. Yes, Larry. Rita is out of the hospital. Home. And improving. We're all very, very thrilled about that. Yes? You spoke to all your elderly living relatives. That's a mitzvah and a mazel, all four. I'm sure they enjoyed receiving your call more than you enjoyed giving it. Yes.
I gave a Heimlich maneuver to my girlfriend.
Ooh. Ooh. What came popping out?
Water.
Water. Okay. Yes. I see that. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Rachel. Rachel was elected as the incoming president of Temple Beth Shalom for the next year. Let's give her all a round of applause. Excellent. So for our candle lighting, we will turn to page 2 and ask the lady without the walker, Janet Kreisman, to come up and light our candles. Page 2. Actually, she'll start on page 3 with an English reading and then page 2 for the Hebrew. So, pick a reading on page 3. And then the blessings on page 2. One of those two things.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Just hold that for a second. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Push forward and pull the trigger.
Push down and no.
This needs a council of engineers.
There you go.
You want to do it? There you go. We finally got the process perfected. Melech Haolam, Asher Kedishanu B'mitzvotah, B'tzivanu Lahadlik Ner Shal Shabbat. Thank you. I turned it off. So before we start to welcome Shabbat, and that's what Kabbalah Shabbat means, let's try to purge the week that has passed away from us. And I ask everybody to close their eyes and take a big deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth, and let the stress of the week go by. In through your nose and out through your mouth, and let all the tension go. In through your nose and out through your mouth, and let all the responsibilities of the week go by. And in through your nose, and let the joy of Shabbat come in and out through your mouth. And in through your nose again, and let the delight and the happiness of Shabbat and the light come in. One more. In through your nose, out through your mouth, and open your eyes. And let's continue on the bottom of page 6. Please read with me responsively, one section at a time. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love and all who are lonely for friendship. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. All right, let's go to page 11. There are a number of songs on this page. I'd like to do the one on the bottom of page 11, and it's kind of a spirited song. So let's get into the Shabbat spirit. Everybody who recognizes the melody, sing along with me. Eilech hamda libi, husanava al natitalem. Eilech hamda libi, husanava al natitalem. Eilech hamda libi, husanava al natitalem. Eilech hamda libi, Husanava al natitalem, Eilech hamda libi, Husanava al natitalem. So when it comes to music in Judaism and services, it can be looked at one of two ways. It's either music to be listened to or music to participate in. I am very much of the belief that music in synagogue is to be participated in. So let's all participate. And I'll show you how. Let's continue. The Kabbalah Shabbat service continues on page 12, and it's a series of 6 psalms representing the 6 days of the week. Page 12 is one psalm, page 13, another, 14, 15, 17, and today, the 6th day, since it's before sun goes down, is Psalm 29. Mizmor LeDavid, Havul Adonai B'nei Elim, Havul Adonai Kavod Va'oz. Please read in English with me, alternating line by line. Page 18, sorry. Page 18. This is the psalm for the 6th day, for the Friday. So follow along with me and read responsively page 18 in the bottom, and then going on to page 19. That's the whole psalm, one line at a time. A psalm of David. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Bow down to Adonai, majestic in holiness. The God of glory thunders. The voice of Adonai is power. The voice of Adonai breaks cedars. God makes Lebanon skip like a calf. The voice of Adonai kindles flames of fire. Adonai convulses the wilderness of Kadesh and strips forests bare. Adonai sat enthroned at the flood. May Adonai grant strength to God's people. Now, there were some words there that we repeated a lot, right? What are the 2 words we repeated the most? Adonai and voice. Good. Now, the Kabbalah Shabbat service is very mystical. We'll get a little bit more into that. This psalm was selected purposely. There's no mention of Shabbat here. There's no mention of days of the week. But Adonai is mentioned 18 times. We all know the magic of the number 18, right? Chai. And the word voice is mentioned 7 times. We all know the magical, mystical 7 days of the week, 7 days of creation, 7 ancestors, right? 3 patriarchs, 4 matriarchs. There's lots of 7s and 18s. So a lot of what's put together in this service is numerical and mystical. Let's go on to page 20 with Lecha Dodi. This is the centerpiece of the Kabbalah Shabbat service. It was written in the 15th century in Sfat, the center of Kabbalah, of Jewish mysticism. The 9 stanzas talk about Shabbat. The first, second, and 9th stanza references Shabbat. Stanzas 3 through 8 about Jerusalem. So Shabbat is holy time. Jerusalem is holy space. Time and space come together in the mind of the mystics of Sfat. The very first line, Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabbalah, actually 2 lines, has numeric and mystic significance as well. If you look at the first line, there are 15 letters in the first line in Hebrew. And if you look at the second line, there are 11 letters. And if you look behind you at the Shema Yisrael that's hanging on our wall, the third word there is the 4-letter word for the name of Adonai, Yud, He, Vav, He. And letters in Hebrew have numerical equivalents. Yud is 10, He is 5, Vav is 6, He is 5. The first 2 letters, Yud and He, add up to 15, the number of letters in the first verse of Lecha Dodi. And the second 2 letters, Vav, He, is 11, 6 and 5. That's the number of letters in the second line of Lecha Dodi. These ingenious mystics left nothing by chance. Lecha Dodi is the first 2 letters of God's name coming together with the second 2 letters of God's name. So, let's sing Lecha Dodi, as we usually do, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And again, let's participate. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad hishmiyanu el hameyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'lit hi la. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 2, likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki hi mechor habracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshavat chi la. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5, hitoreri ki va'orech kumi ori uri shir daberi kivod Adonai alayach nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabel. Please rise and let's face the sunset where Shabbat comes in, the back. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha u'v'tzahala toch emunei am segula. Boi chala lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Please be seated. It is a debate in the Talmud whether you should face the sunset or the door of the synagogue. Most synagogues, though, have the doors in the back, and it's not a problem. So, let's go on to page 24 and ask Susan and Dale to lead us in Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Lachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
That was beautiful. That, I think, was both something we could listen to and something we can sing along with. The song, the music by Debbie Friedman of blessed memory, who contributed so much to our Jewish musical liturgy. And with this, we conclude the welcoming Shabbat, the Kabbalah Shabbat, and we turn to page 26 for the Reader's Kaddish, or the half Kaddish, usually something that divides sections of the service. And if you read the English, there's nothing in Kaddish about people dying or death. Everybody always thinks about Kaddish as the prayer for the dead. It's not. It's an exaltation and a glorification of God and in God's name. So you can read along, but let's separate the Kabbalah Shabbat from the rest of the prayer service. Yitgadah v'yitgadah Shemei Rabbah. B'alma divrach irutei v'yamlil malchutei. B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizmahan kariv, v'immeru, Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach, li'alam la'om me'omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha b'richu, leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, dahamiram b'alma, v'immeru, amen. And now we start our official prayer service, and I ask you to turn to page 28 as we rise for the call to worship, the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamivorach. Baruch Adonai hamivorach leolam va'ed. Please be seated. We turn to page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim bechachma poteach she'arim uvivuna mishanei itim umachalif et hazmanim umesader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Let's read in responsively the bottom of page 30, line by line. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe. Skillfully opens the gates and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. Rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light. Adonai Tsefaot is your name. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. We turn to page 32, and Dale and Susan will lead us in Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Avta. Torah u'mitzvot, chokim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, b'shokbenu v'kumenu, nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, u've'hem neged yomam v'layla.
Thank you again. How beautiful. Let's go to page 34 for the creed of Judaism, the declaration of the faith, the Shema Yisrael. Please rise. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Kivod malchuto leolam vaed. Please be seated and turn to page 36. We'll do the V'ahavta in Hebrew, and then for everybody who doesn't speak Hebrew as a first language, we'll do it in English together as well. But join with me if you can. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'aderech uv'shachbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beineinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot machem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. Now we've all recited the words that are in the mezuzah on the doorposts of your house. And if you read the English, which we'll do right next, you'll see why that's what we put in the mezuzah. Read along with me, please, on the bottom of page 36. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus shall you remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai, your God. So why does it say when we lie down and when we get up? Shouldn't we get up first and then lie down? Don't we start the day by getting up and end the day by going down? Betsy. Every Jewish day at sunset. Why? It says so in the Bible. And there was evening and there was morning, day 1, day 2. They all start with evening first and then morning. There's a more complicated reason. I can explain it in private. It's too much to get into right now. But yes, every Jewish day starts at sunset, so we lie down first and then we rise up. Let's continue on page 40 with the singing of Mi Chamocha. Again, participation, right? Everybody's going to clap with me? Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. Malachutecha ra'u vanecha, bokeya yam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze Eli anu ve'amru, ze eni anu ve'amaru. Adonai yimlo le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimlo le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar kifad Adonai et Yaakov. Ugalo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Does it feel good to all clap together? I think it does. Let's go on to page 42, and Dale will lead us in the singing of Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim Ufrus aleinu Sukkot shlomecha Ushmos eteinu uvoenu Ufrus aleinu Sukkot shlomecha Ushmos eteinu uvoenu Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim Baruch atah Adonai Haporei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim
Again, thank you, Dale. That was beautiful. We go to page 44, and we have a choice of two songs, Vishamru and Yismachu. Which one should we sing? Let's take a vote. Judaism is very democratic, right? So who thinks we should sing Vishamru? Who thinks we should sing Yismachu? Ooh, I think Yismachu is the right one. Let's do it. Ready? Yismachu v'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei Oneg Shabbat. You can clap if you want. Yismechu v'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei Oneg Shabbat. Mikadeshei, Mikadeshei Shevi Shabbat. Kulam Yisba'u V'yatangu Mituvecha Shabbat. Let's do it. Yismechu V'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei Oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei Oneg Shabbat. V'hashvi ratzita bo v'kidashto Shabbat. Chemdat Yamim Oto karata shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Zecher lema'aseh v'reishit. Now we get to the heart of the prayer service. In fact, it's called the tefillah, the prayer. Sometimes called the Amidah, which means standing, so I'll ask you all to stand. And sometimes called Shmona Esrei, which means 18. We shorten it on Shabbat so as not to burden God with all of our pleas and hopes. But the full version we do during the week, and interestingly, it's not 18 benedictions, it's 19, which is a whole other controversy in Judaism. But let's do the tefillah. Starting on page 46, we will do the even-numbered pages until we get to page 52. So please join with me. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imaot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'nehem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'alam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Sohomech noflim v'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishenei afar, micha mocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shemcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalalucha selah, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated, and we'll continue the Amidah, which isn't really standing anymore, but the tefillah, on the top of page 56. And we'll ask Dale and Susan to lead us in Ritzeh.
Ritzei Adonai, Elohei Adonai, Ben Amecha Yisrael, Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu Yisrael Utefilato Be'ahava Tekabel Utehi Leratzon Tamid Avodat Yisrael Amecha Baruch atah Adonai Hamachazir Shechinato
Please turn to page 59 and read the bottom paragraph responsively with me. When we behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, what are we humans that you are mindful of us? You made us little less than divine. You gave us dominion over your handiwork. How majestic is your name throughout the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, u'lecha na'el lahodaot. We now turn to page 60, and Dale will lead us in the singing of Shalom Rav. Great peace shall come upon us.
Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Ki Atahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom V'tov be'einecha levarech Et Amcha Yisrael Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo. Yisrael, Yisrael, b'shalom. Hamvarech et amo Yisrael,
We have now come to the end of our scripted part of our service, and it's time that we can say anything we want to God as we want, silently. So give a minute of silent prayer. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Ose shalom bimromav, Hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru imru amen. Yahaseh shalom, Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yahaseh shalom, Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yahaseh shalom, Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yahaseh shalom, Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. We concluded that portion of the service with a prayer and an asking for peace, something I think we, the Jewish people, and our cousins and relatives and friends in Israel truly need. Let us all pray for peace. We have other things to pray for. We have members of our own community who need prayers of healing, and we will turn to page 253. The Misha Berach list was published in the announcements, but I'll ask anybody to say anybody's name who would like to for an extra prayer of healing. Andrea? Rachel Rockland. Anybody? Lauren? Let us turn to the middle of page 253 and sing the beautiful melody of Debbie Friedman again in Misha Berach. Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mikor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. So this week's Torah portion is called Behar, at the mountain. Torah portions and books of the Bible are usually named for the first distinguishing word in the passage. So it starts like this: Vayidaber Adonai el Moshe Behar Sinai Lemor. And God said to Moses at Mount Sinai, saying blah, 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 blah. And the blah, blah, blah is what we're going to talk about, right? So on Mount Sinai, God instructs Moses about a special kind of Shabbat. Just as we work for 6 days and we rest on the seventh, so is the land to be worked for 6 years and is to be allowed to rest on the seventh year. In Hebrew, it is called the Shemitah year. Lauren and I were actually in Israel once. We were on a bicycle trip through the Judean hills in the Shemitah year. And it was all that everybody was talking about. You remember what we saw, Lauren, as we bicycled through all the fields? Yeah, but they were not farmed. There were no crops growing. They were just empty fields. Now, we went by one watermelon field. Oh, and we were told we could go get anything we wanted. It wasn't illegal to go, but you couldn't farm the land. So this one field of watermelons just had watermelons growing. It was kind of ingenious because if you don't pick up the watermelons, the seeds replant the field for the next year. So in English, we call this the sabbatical year. And you may recognize the term referring to teachers who take a year off to recharge themselves, right? Like the land takes a year off to recharge itself. In ancient times, it was said that there was enough harvested in the 6th year to hold them over until the sabbatical year was over and they could plant the fields again. And again, like we were able to pick up the watermelons, you could pick up and eat anything that was growing naturally, but you couldn't farm it. In modern Israel, this is a particular problem. I mean, how do you feed everybody when you can't plant crops? You either have to import a lot of food, or you have to use a little bit of cunning trickery and lease the land to a non-Jew who farms it. And at the end of the year, it gets leased back to you, comes back to you. We are in the midst of what we call the counting of the Omer, the counting of the barley harvest. A week of weeks, or 49 days. And on the 50th day, we celebrate Shavuot, which we ascribe to the giving of the 10 Commandments to our ancestors on Mount Sinai, like the Torah portion starts. In the Torah portion, just as there is a cycle of 49 days culminating in the 50th, a celebration, there's a counting of 7 sabbatical years, 49 years, culminating in a 50th year called the Yovel. In English, we call it the Jubilee. The Jubilee is a celebration, right? It was a year-long celebration throughout the land, and there were special rules of the Jubilee year. Not only was the land allowed to rest again, so 2 years in a row the land had to rest, right? The 49th year is the 7th of the 7, and then the 50th. But anyone who had previously bought land had to return it back to its original owner. So you didn't really buy land forever. If in the 50-year cycle you bought land in the 20th year, you were really leasing it for 30 years. If there was only 10 years left until the Jubilee, you were only leasing it for 10 years. Why did they do that? Why did God want us to do that? Right? They did it because it's in the Torah. Because everything really belongs to God anyway. We only get to use it while we walk on this earth. We have all seen the tombs of the Egyptian pharaohs. They're filled with gold and silver and opulent clothing because the Egyptians really thought that Pharaoh would need these things in the afterlife. Our ancestors know that we take no worldly possessions with us when we go. Only our good name and our reputation. And even that we're not really sure about, right? I have a patient that I diagnosed with prostate cancer. And I removed his prostate. And after we remove someone's prostate, we check and see how they're doing by checking a PSA blood test. And I've had this happen a lot. Dr. Todd, why are you doing my blood test? My prostate's gone. And I say, that's just the reason. I say, but I don't understand. Well, if the prostate cancer's gone, the PSA should be 0. Well, how could it not be 0? You took out my prostate. Sometimes cancer does things we don't want it to do. So we checked the PSA test. And this one patient had a PSA that was 0, and 0, and 0, and 1 year he came back and it was 1.9. And I told him I wasn't really comfortable with this test. I wasn't sure I trusted it, because when people have a recurrence, it drifts up slowly and then gathers steam. And I told him I thought maybe there was a problem, and I wanted to repeat it before we made any decisions. So I repeated the test, and it was 0. And he smiled and laughed at me and said, you know, Dr. Taub, I thought I was dying, and I went out and bought a Porsche. He admitted to me that he was thinking about it for a while, and he said, life is too short, I'm just going to buy the car. So every year when I see him and we go over his test results, he points to that spike up. He says, that's my Porsche spike. So he knows what our ancestors know and we know, and that is, you better enjoy it now because you can't take it with you. Shabbat Shalom. Do announcements? Why not? Give me a break for a second.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Upcoming events. May 31st, Rabbi Box will invite graduating students to the Bima for a special blessing. June 5th, Sisterhood End of the Year Luncheon. Contact Naomi. June 8th.
Put it closer to your mouth.
June 8th, Saturday morning services begins at 10:30 a.m. June 9th, voters registration between 12 and 4 in the lobby. June 14th is a Yisker service. It begins at 6:15, followed by a Shabbat service at 7 o'clock. June 15th, OTLS movie night at TBS, showing of Broadway musicals, A Jewish Legacy. This is a free event, so please come. If you have names or of family and close friends who are currently in the IDF, please email Rabbi Boxt with their names. There will be a special prayer for the IDF read at services on Friday night. If you or a member of your immediate family is graduating this spring from high school, college, or a certificate program, please give Naomi the information so that the congregation may share in your simcha. On May 31st, Rabbi Box will invite graduating students to the Bima for a special blessing. OTLS Outreach, of which TBS is part of, is starting a volunteer program to service the homeless of Marion County. If you are interested, please call Tommy Williams for information. To add or delete or name from the Misha Berach, call Vanessa. The Judaica shop is stocked with many new items. Contact Rochelle Brauman and Jackie Kokot. Call Amy Schwartz to purchase trees, and call Toby Topol to send a unigram. $3 each, including postage. As of July 1st, the price will be $5. This week's Oneg Shabbat is sponsored by Steve and Debbie Zuckerman. Thank you very much. In memory of Sylvia Kalmer, Debbie's mother. Bima flowers are sponsored by Naomi Berman in honor of Marion Avent's 4th birthday. Sarah Wilson with loving thoughts of Marjorie Grannon.
Thank you, Madam President. To be elect. Well, President-elect, right? You'll be sworn in July, right? June? Term starts July 1st. So as I mentioned, we are in the process of counting the Omer, the 50 days. Let us do our mitzvah and obligation tonight on page 278. Hineni muchan umizaman lekayem mitzvat oseh shel sfirat haomer. I am ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat haomer. Hayom shnayim u'shloshim yom shehem arba'a shavuot v'arba yamim laomer. Today is the 32nd day, which is 4 weeks and 4 days of the Omer. We're counting to 50, right? Let's turn to page 282, and Mr. Colin, the junior, come on up and open our ark for us. Please rise for Aleinu on page 282. Aleinu lishabeach ladon hakol latet gedula liotse breshit shelo asanu kegoye haratzot velo samanu kemishbechot hadama shelo sam chelkenu kahem v'gohor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh. Continue page 284 at the top. Shehu note shamai v'yosei haaretz Umoshav Yikaro Bashamaya Mimal, Ushchinatuzo, Begav He Meheromi. Hu Eloheinu Einod, Emet Malkeinu Efezulato, Kakatu Betorato, Viadata Hayom, Vahashevota Elevavecha, Ki Adonai Hu HaElohim, Bashamayim Mimal, Ve'al haaretz, mitachat einod. You can close it. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo echad. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and our neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss and of death. This week, we remember our yurtzites, Harry Huntman, friend of the congregation, Dorothy Carey, friend of the congregation, Tanya Jarofsky, daughter-in-law of Rochelle Jarofsky, Nathan Holtzman, friend of the congregation, Max and Thelma Reeder, friends of the congregation, Helen Schneider, friend of the congregation, Celia Tubail, mother of Sarina Handelman, Sue Tyler, friend of the congregation, Alexander Grassberg, father of Susan Ahern, Helen Newman, mother of Marcel Schwimmer, Louis Berman, father-in-law of Naomi Berman, Bernice Farrar, mother of Thomasine Williams, Sylvia Casimir, mother of Debbie Zuckerman, Lucille Press, friend of the congregation, and Lillian Zalesnik, mother of Chuck Zalesnik. If there are any other names we want to remember this Shabbat, please. Those who wish may join with me on page 294 with the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah. Yalma divarachi rutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. Ba'gala v'zman kariv v'yimru ameh. Yehei shmei Rabbah mavarach le'olam u'la'almei olmayah. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudesha barichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Ta'amiram bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Please be seated. We now come to the concluding hymn because it concludes the service. It would be silly to put the concluding hymn at the beginning, wouldn't it? Let's turn to page 321 for Adon Olam. There are lots of melodies to Adon Olam. Sing one. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, B'chef Sokol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, V'acharei kichlot hakol livado yimloch nora adon olam v'hu haya v'hu hoveh v'hu yiyeh b'tifara adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'et nasa b'chefso kol Azai melech shemo nikra adon olam v'hu echad v'yein sheni laham shelo lahachbira adon olam b'li reshit b'li tachlit v'lo ha'oz v'hamisra adon olam asher malach b'terem kol Yitzir nivra li'et nasa b'chefso kol Azai melech shemo nikra adon olam v'hu eli v'chai go'ali v'tzor chevli b'yet tzara adon olam v'hu nisi umanos li minat kosi v'yom ekra adon olam Asher malach b'terem kol Yitzir nivra li'et nasa b'tefso kol Azai melech shemo nikra adon olam b'yahado afkid ruchi b'yet ishan ve'a'ira adon olam v'im ruchi geviyati Adonai li velo ira Adon. This is the last chance. Adon olam. Asher malach. B'terem kol. Yitzir nivra li'et nasa. B'chefso kol. Azai melech shemo nikra Adon olam. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Please join Jay Kreisman, I think, who's going to be leading us in the Kiddush in the other room. And it's not a complete Shabbat unless you partake in the oneg, the delight of Shabbat. Shabbat shalom, everybody.